guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a pickup that I recently got. Went to a local antique mall and this cigar box was sitting there with a bunch of train stuff. Flipped it open and this is what I saw. It was 12 bucks for this. So jumped on it right away because parts are a good thing to have, and 12 bucks for this is not a bad deal. What I wanted was this. It's because I have this 1655 shell that has no motor in it. So I know this is identical to what went in here. It fits a little bit snugly in there, but I think that's because this part at the back here is bent. If I look at it straight on, this is kind of going up this way. And when I did test fit this into the body, it kind of skewed the motor off to one side. So I'm going to have a look at that and see if I can put this back without cracking it. But the first thing I think I want to do, go through this motor. It looks like this can be a runner. We got all the wheels for it. They're all here. And it was these actually that kind of tipped me off on what this motor might be. Looking at these wheels from a profile here, you can see how they kind of curve right in here. It's not a perfect right angle. Let me grab a Postwar wheel. You see how sharp of a 90 that is compared to this one? This is normally what a pre-war looks like. In pre-war from maybe 1938, 37, 38, up into 1940. So by looking at these wheels and looking at this motor, I've pretty much determined that this is probably out of a 209. So this is a pre-war motor. When I did do some looking online, a lot of these motors, they might have a silver button in the center that, I think it rivets it to the body maybe, I'm not sure. But the 209 doesn't have that. And it also has this single gear in the center. The 1655's motor actually has two gears. So the center one comes down and it drives the two, and it drives the two wheels, something like that. I have a spare 1665 or 1655 motor, but it's all burnt out. What I want to do, like I said, since the wiring all looks good, I don't see any breaks in it anywhere. I'm going to take the brush plate off. Those solder joints are all still good in there. I'm going to take the brush plate off, have a look at the armature, clean up the brushes if they need it, and just put some power to the motor as it is. Oh, those are nice brass ones. We have a perfectly fine working motor. This is one of the reasons that I find it so important to strip these things down first, do a visual check, make sure everything's okay, and always check in here, check that the drum is clean, check that none of the fingers are broken, that the drum is sitting in the E-unit properly, so that everything is making the right contact. And if all of that is in place, you are going to have no troubles at all. Just like we don't here. So this is an excellent working motor. Super strong. I think we're going to have no problem inserting this into the 1655 shell that I have here. And then go on to the next stage. See what kind of parts I have for that to make a complete locomotive out of the bits and pieces in my box. We're going to do the next step with this 1655. So as you remember in the last video there, we got the motor that we purchased from the antique mall that came in this parts box. Got that motor running. We got it into the shell. It fits. But this thing's missing some stuff. I don't have any of the driver arms. I don't have any of the trucks. Nothing. Just the shell and the motor. But I do have these parts. And a lot of these parts came from Scouts. Because everybody had a Scout, everybody broke a Scout, and now everyone's parts bin are overflowing with parts from a Scout. So I'm going to take a look at what I have and maybe make this locomotive whole again. All right, let's have a little bit of scratch building fun. So I'm going to start with the back trucks on this thing. But I did find this one. This is from another 2026, 2037, 2018, and a ton of other locomotives that have this style of rear truck. This one, the reason I want this one in particular is because it has its drawbar with it. Problem is this thing. It's in the way, and I can't attach this with it there. No matter how I try to finagle this thing, it just won't work. So this is going to go. I don't know what it's there for in the first place. The original rear truck passes on top of it and hooks up to this. This really doesn't do too much except occupy a space. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get rid of it, and we're going to set this truck in its place. So this here looks like it was a cast piece that was just peened over itself to hold it in place. It does jiggle a little bit. It's not too firm in there. So let's just see if we can just get a screwdriver in there and pop it out instead of having to cut stuff. That would be nice. Including my finger. I don't want to cut my finger. Hey, there it goes. So let's just attack it from this side, keep the hand out of the way, and pop off. Almost. Let's get this all right in the middle of the camera. There we go. All right, that was easy. You're out of the way. Now I have another spare part for something. Okay, that said, let's try this again. I mean, I just think that looks cool, right? Might look neat. But I don't know if the clearance will line up with those wheels. So, since this is all an experiment, let me track down some wheels for this thing, drop them in, and see if we can maybe get that to work. Okay, so I found the actual wheels that came out of this. So those sit in nicely. So I'm just going to clear off these other axles that did not work. Axles and various buttons of sorts. And I'm just going to line all of this up on a track and see if everything kind of lines up all right with that. I don't really like the way it looks. I'd have to... There's this little tab thing that's on the top of it that I'd have to cut back, but it's just not working out the way I wanted it to, so we'll save that piece for another rainy day. However, this one fits perfectly. All right, so the trucks fit over the pin. Perfect. Excellent. Nope. So I'm going to have to get a drill and ream that out. And then reinstall it. So I'm going to get my drill, fix that hole, and we'll be right back. Well, that was awfully close. Not much material left on that, but it fits over the pin now, and that's the point. That's what we wanted it to do. So let's finish setting that up. We got trucks. Slide it over, line these two up, drop it over the pin. It's not amazing, but it's not bad looking either. It's just the actual drawbar sits a little bit high, so that rear wheel doesn't quite make it, doesn't quite touch. Maybe if we play around with it, we can fix that. Maybe grind some off of that rear deck if I don't feel like, because that's a pretty weird bend in that thing, or a pretty wild bend, and I don't really want to mess around with it too much. I think once I got the tab straightened out, everything else with this original drawbar kind of fell into place, which is great, because I really preferred this one. All the wheels touch. And this one's still a little bit high, but at least it's not way up in the air like it was. And I think the overall look there isn't really that bad. So, we've got our rear trucks on. Now we're going to deal with the front ones. See what we're going to do there. Now my idea with them is to use, because I've got so many of these bits and pieces from the plentiful Scout, that I think I can take one, hack it up a little bit, and see if I can mount it. Of course, why are you hanging on to everything? Okay, we're centered again. Just try to mount this into here somehow. Probably a slight difference in the moldings, but otherwise identical. So that's going to work. I just have to get this to attach to that. Luckily, there's 2 screw holes right here. So I think maybe I'm going to have to cut this little tongue off, because this is where the motor normally mounts on a Scout, and this doesn't need it. And it's kind of in the way. I really don't need much space, because there's so much play up in here that just might, and it does perfectly. So there it is. So that fits great. I just have to bend this one tab in. And that's it. Drop this front truck in here. Position everything again. And that's going to do it. And that gives us here this piece here. And I think I have some Scout driver arms. If I don't, I'm sure I could find some lying in a gutter somewhere. They're all over the place. We got the front trucks and the rear trucks for our parts bin 1655. I really do need to find a clip for this, because as you can see, it's not holding on at all. And this, which was what someone had put on there originally to try to hold it down, doesn't work. So I think I've come up with a nice temporary clip, or maybe permanent one, if it holds as good as it seems to be holding right now. So I just took one of these terminals that I had plenty of kicking around, broke off the back obviously, slipped it over the nut, or over the bolt rather, and just pinched in the ends, and it works great. And it actually fits in the slot that it was supposed to, so it was the right thickness. Now I don't have a rear truck that drops out. So there we go. We've got the front truck, rear truck, or front pilot, whatever you want to call it, the front wheels, the middle wheels with the motor, and the rear trucks all set up and ready to go. And I'm thinking that looks pretty sharp, actually. Let's get the track back. So now it's a 244. And I like the look of that. I think that looks pretty good. For a bunch of parts that I had no use for anymore, all put together for this 1655, I think we have a pretty sharp looking locomotive. So the next thing I got to track down is some driver arms, because I don't have any driver arms from the Scout itself. I don't know if I can pick some up at the next train show. We'll have a look there, but I am planning on hitting an antique mall tomorrow. I know they don't have any train stuff at the one I'm going to. But maybe they will have something that I can makeshift to make this work. So right now we're going to stop the video there. So we've got our trucks on, we've got our working motor mounted in the shell. This locomotive is technically ready for the track. It could go around, it could pull a tender and some cars. It just needs a little bit of the finishing details and just a wash on the body, because it's a little bit grimy and dusty. But a lot of that will come off with some scrubbing, and I won't lose my numbering, cab number. So thanks for watching on this one, guys. I hope you found this a little bit fun. I hope it inspires you to go through your parts bin and give them another life. So until the next time, take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.